Okay, I think we have everything set up. Drinks, food, and especially snacks. I even made sure to get all your favorites, because hey, that's what best friends do. I can see you've already eaten half of them. I've got even more downstairs in the snack cupboard, by the way. You know where it is. You've been over to my house like a million times. Anyway, now our sleepover can finally begin. So, before we watch a movie and snuggle or something, I mean, hey, if you're up to it, that is. You know, just as best friends snuggling. But anyway, what I'm getting at here is, I was wondering if you could help me out with something first. See, I've been writing this story, right? And I was wondering if you could sort of give me your feedback, you know? Well, it's still in the early stages. It's more of an outline, really. But anyway, I was thinking I could quickly run you through the main points and you could tell me your thoughts. Would that be alright with you? Great! That's great. I'm glad to hear it. Okay, so where do I begin? Well, first of all, I guess I should give you the main character. So, he's a boy with a hair color just like mine. And he lives in a house, just like this one. And he has this friend of his, with an eye color just like yours, in fact, that he loves very, very much. Much more than just a friend. But the friend is very dense, and never seems to realize it. In fact, the friend seems to be kind of slow to read in between the lines, just in general. Okay, so what do you think of my character so far? Nothing's wrong with him so far, right? Right. Nothing is wrong with him. He didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, so this boy is madly in love with his friend. I'm talking about 200% crazy, head over heels, absolutely nuts in love. His friend is making him lose his marbles. But I mean, hey, hopefully that's not the only thing they'll make him lose. But it's really difficult when the friend is so dense. Anyway, so this boy really loves his friend, but he can't confess. Because what if he gets rejected? He could never take that. It could even ruin their friendship. And that's maybe the one real emotional connection he has. Everything else just feels so lifeless and fake to him. So he really doesn't have the heart to confess directly. There's just too much he could lose. So he tries to sort of feel things out, if you get what I'm saying. He tries to make little allusions here and there, trying to test his friend's reactions, seeing if it's okay to confess yet. Sometimes he even flirts in a sort of indirect way, but of course, his friend is hopelessly dense, so this sort of method really never works for him. He even asks her to snuggle a lot, and when he gets to, he always makes these sort of flirty remarks, like, "You're so good at snuggling, I wish I was the boyfriend of someone who snuggles like you," or something like that. The friend still doesn't get it, of course. The boy does everything. He even makes sure to keep all his friend's favorite snacks in his cupboard. But, of course, the significance of this goes unnoticed. Okay, so now, what do you think of him so far? Right? So far, so good. He didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with him trying to be indirect and test the waters. Nothing wrong with him trying to protect his relationship and his happiness. If anything, the friend should have really noticed his feelings, am I right? But I'm still not done. Let me go on with the story. So, the boy just really can't get enough of this friend. He wants to be romantic with her. He wishes they were a couple, but he just can't seize that dream. So, he fantasizes a little bit. You know, innocent little fantasies. Everyone has them about their crush, right? He does too. Innocent little fantasies, like holding hands with her, hugging her, getting married to her. But that's still not enough. And he just wants to bring that fantasy just a little bit into reality. So he takes a photo he has of himself and his friend together, and then he edits it a little bit to make it look like a wedding photo. Wedding suit and everything. And it makes him so happy to finally have a bit of reality to his fantasy. You know, something tangible. He looks at that photo every day, every night. He makes it his phone background. He frames a copy and even sleeps next to it. It's the one thing that gives him peace of mind when he's usually such an insomniac from not getting his happily ever after. But he can't be satisfied with that. Not with just a photo. it's still missing something. His fantasy just isn't physical enough. He thinks of all the times he snuggled his friend, and how lovely it would be to feel like that, even when they weren't around to snuggle. So, he thinks about his friend's sweater, and how if he wore that, it would sort of feel like he was snuggling them. And he needs that. He needs that very much. One day, when his friend isn't paying attention, he ever so sneakily swipes the sweater and replaces it with an identical one. He gets away with it completely. He keeps a straight face the entire day. He smiles to his friend as usual. He laughs with them as usual. They don't suspect a thing. And he loves the sweater. He treasures it and cherishes it, and goes to sleep wearing it every night, pretending like it's his friend all around him, not just their sweater. And I would ask what you're thinking about him right now, but I already know the answer. It's fine. He's fine. He didn't do anything wrong. He's just acting out of love. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with loving his friend, who has your eye color, who has your hair color, who happens to love the exact same snacks as you. There's nothing wrong with the main character being a little romantic. But it's because he's so romantic that he just can't settle down. He can't be happy with just a sweater. As great as it is, it's still just a sweater, you know. It's not as great as the real thing. And he is just torn apart because he can't spend more time with his friend. Every second that he's away from them, it's just eating away at his insides, little by little, all the time. And he just can't take it anymore. He wants to spend every waking second with them, but obviously, that's not possible. So he starts watching that friend. It starts with just watching them from behind the bushes at first, or maybe from behind a car or something. And he wakes up smiling every day, knowing that he can watch his friend again. Then after a while, he gets an idea. He sets up cameras, very hidden cameras, the kind you wouldn't notice. He sets them up all over the places that his friend frequents. And, of course, he especially makes sure to set up plenty in their room. So now he can watch them all the time. They probably wouldn't let him sleep over every day, right? That would be unreasonable. But now he can watch his friend fall asleep every single day. It's almost like they're a couple, but they're not. They're not a couple. He's a great character, right? You don't have to say anything, because I already know. He's fine. He's fine. He didn't do anything wrong. But, like I was saying, they're not a couple. And in a way, watching his friend all the time through his cameras makes him extremely aware of that. Because, yes, he can see all those things his friend does, but that also shows him all the attention he gets from other people. And he just feels so neglected. When he sees them sharing meals with others, he thinks, that should be me sharing that meal with them. When he sees them laughing and joking with others, he thinks, that should be me. When he sees them talking to others, he thinks, that should be me. And he tries to keep it together. Of course he tries. He never does anything wrong. He tries to bury his feelings deep down within his heart because he doesn't want to hurt all those people coming in between him and his friend. Even though he might, he doesn't want to be destructive or harmful, especially not around his sweetheart. But there's no way to keep a burden like that all inside, right? His jealousy, his resentment towards his feelings of neglect, they all get a bit more heated day after day until inevitably the whole thing boils over. So he invites his friend over to a sleepover, just like this one, in fact. And the thing he wants more than anything is just to be accepted. But it's so hard to even ask for that. If he tries to be direct, he just stutters like a bumbling idiot. So he confesses about his feelings. He confesses about all the things he did, but he does it in a very indirect way. He confesses as if it was a character in his story that felt and did all these things and not himself. But he's worried. He's still so worried. What if he isn't accepted? What if they try to run away? So he has a backup plan. He has some rope that he keeps underneath his bed. It looks just like my bed right there. And he drugged the snacks that his friend ate earlier. You know, the very same snacks that you helped yourself to just now? That way, they can't get away, even if they wanted to. But why would they want to? He didn't do anything wrong. Don't you think so too? So, what do you think the friend will do now, huh? Are you going to leave?